the producers wanted to find somebody else, so they went for Adam West.
No!
The Batman.
Hello and welcome to the For Your Ears Only podcast. Today is a special episode because today is not only episode 007, which means Diamonds Are Forever, but it also marks the end of the Sean Connery, and we'll call it George Lazenby era.
Yeah.
George Lazenby was just the person in the middle, the other fellow. But yes, the Diamonds Are Forever was the end of Sean Connery's reign as James Bond officially. Not including the other non-Eon film, but this was the end of his reign. So we thought that we would get dressed up like this. We are going to do this for the end of every James Bond era, with a bow tie, which is fake. Jack has the loosened bow tie, the more casual look. But not only that, we've also brought a prop. Ooh. Now this is Walther PPK. It's not a real gun.
Not a real gun.
It looks like a gun. It's heavy like a gun. It smells like it. But it's not a real gun. Mm-hmm. Disclaimer, it's not a real gun.
It's not a real gun.
There you go, you can have this. So we brought this along. This actually comes from a friend of mine called Panda. There's not really an origin story as to why he's called Panda. But he has this another one as part of a collection. It is an official thing. Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. But yeah, it's very heavy.
It is heavy.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All the parts, moving parts and everything.
In the movies, when they run out of rounds and then they throw the gun at someone, and I always thought that was ineffective. It is quite heavy. Interesting thing about Panda, his real name is Andrew Scott.
Andrew Scott, the actor?
Not the actor, but Andrew Scott, who was an actor who was in Spectre.
Sherlock Holmes.
He wasn't Sherlock Holmes, but he was also in Spectre.
Right, I forgot. This is a James Bond podcast.
He played C.
He played C.
Not the same person, but it's a nice coincidence. So thank you very much, Panda, for letting us borrow this for this special episode. So as I mentioned before, this is a special episode, 007, Diamonds Are Forever. We're here to talk about Diamonds Are Forever and Sean Connery's last reign in an official capacity. Before we go into the 2-minute summary, which Jack is going to perform, to do very well
I'll perform it.
Yes, he'll perform well. I would like to know, what is your actual thoughts of this film? Do you like this film? And this is a loaded question by design.
Yeah, all your questions are loaded, Derek. No, I actually do really like this film.
Okay.
This is a guilty pleasure film for me. It's one that always makes me feel nice and warm when I watch it. I think the sort of light-hearted, fun nature of it, the sort of uncaring performances and the just sort of weird campness, slightly over the top stuff that happens is good. It does it all right. Whereas maybe later on, what's his name? Roger Moore takes it a bit too far. I think the campness here.
I find that ironic that you think this film is camp and like, you didn't say wacky, but I feel like you were getting to that.
Yeah.
But the other films fit that better.
The fact that Sean Connery, I don't know. I think that because it's his last one, he's been away, he's come back. It comes across to me as if he's having quite a big like holiday party thing. He just doesn't care. He's just
I got that as well.
He's just kind of back and in a casino for a lot of the time, and it sort of comes across as very fun and playful.
Okay, well, we're going to test that knowledge because I would like you to now deliver a synopsis of Diamonds Are Forever within 2 minutes. I forgot to say Diamonds Are Forever is 1971 and it was directed by Guy Hamilton. He returns, the man himself. Was it Goldfinger he did prior to this?
Goldfinger.
He did Goldfinger. Did he do Thunderball?
No, just Goldfinger.
Didn't do Thunder. Was it just Goldfinger?
Up to this point.
So he came back. Okay. Well,
band's back together.
is it?
The band is back together.
Maybe. Enough stalling, Jack. We're going to get on to the 2 minutes now. So I would like a concise description of Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
There's no such thing as Bond moments.
No, there's
not Bond moments. You can't say Bond stuff happens.
Can't say Bond stuff or spy stuff happens because that's cheating as well.
Okay, right. Are you ready?
No.
No? Okay, well, tough shit. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so the film opens with Sean Connery turning as James Bond looking for Blofeld because at the end of the last film, Blofeld's killed his wife. He finds Blofeld is trying to make like doubles of himself, copies of himself, and he ends up killing the copy and what he thinks is the real Blofeld. And then we cut to M's office. M and Bond are in a meeting concerning diamond smuggling, and this guy, I don't know his name is Sir Donald or what he does, but he's looking into diamond smuggling, and he's asked if Bond can find out why, because he thinks that people are trying to crash the market, flood the market with diamonds. He doesn't know why. So Bond's on the chase for the diamond smugglers, and we go through a big chain of who's smuggling the diamonds from South Africa. We go from South Africa to Amsterdam, and then we make our way to California and Las Vegas. And everybody that we see along this trail is being killed off by assassins, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd. It turns out that Blofeld is still alive and he's behind it all. He's trying to get these diamonds to create a big space laser made of diamonds that he's going to try and extort the world for nuclear supremacy. So in the casinos in Las Vegas, for some reason, Blofeld's there trying to control the world under the guise of Willard White, an eccentric billionaire. That's how he's getting all the money to do this kind of thing. How long have I got left?
20 seconds.
Okay, so the film then finds Blofeld extorting the world, the UN, for nuclear supremacy from an oil rig in the middle of the California Sea. James Bond takes it out and lives happily ever after.
There's a part of it that gets the last 10 seconds. And then James Bond kills someone and then they lives happily ever after. Is that how it ends? It gets the...
He does.
It gets the Tiffany.
He does get Tiffany.
Okay. Gets Tiffany off the oil rig. How does it end? I can't remember the exact moment the film ends. The oil rig explodes.
Oh, it's the cruise ship scene.
That's it. Yes, I've actually forgot about that. That's quite a good ending. That was quite good. Yeah, that bit of the cruise that you forgot about. You mentioned Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, but they're fine. They're okay with that. Okay, I think that was honourable. You did forget the ending, but then again, so did I, and I wasn't even doing the 2 minutes. But
well, yeah,
that was summed up. Someone's trying to not even steal diamonds, smuggle diamonds, which happens all the time. Yet they're aware the smuggling's going on, but they just know that these diamonds aren't going onto market. Someone's buying them up.
Stockpiling them.
Yeah, stockpiling them and coming through. But I don't know. Something I found interesting in terms of the history around this is Ian Smelling?
What's he smelling?
Crime. Ian Fleming actually wrote a non-fiction book called The Diamond Smugglers book.
Yeah,
about the accounts of that, and this influenced...
About smuggling.
Yeah, this actually influenced parts of the story.
So before this...
He knows his stuff about diamonds and such, and that seemed to have a bit of an influence with it. You did also mention there, in terms of Willard White, who is quite an interesting character, probably one of the most interesting characters. I don't know if he was acting or he was overacting or that was just him. He was just all over the shop a wee bit, that guy.
Oh, the guy?
Yeah, but...
the guy that played him.
There was the fact that it was in Las Vegas, because I was looking up at the time about the history and seeing how that influenced, and there was someone called Howard Hughes, who could be said that founded Las Vegas before it became the Las Vegas we know nowadays.
Yeah, he owned the big hotel there.
In 1970s, he moved to a hotel. I can't remember the name of it. He moved to a hotel and then decided to buy the hotel. Very Bruce Wayne move, like, I'm buying this hotel. And from there, he bought other businesses and just expanded it and very aggressively
Yeah.
turned it into the Las Vegas we know. But he did everything, and I thought he was maybe compared to Willard White in a way.
So I've got it as he's very much inspired by Willard White. I have a full section about this, so will we leave that till later or just
Okay, we'll stick on the history then. The other history thing I thought of this, not anything to do with the film, but Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas came out the same year, and was of Hunter S. Thompson's experience about Las Vegas at the time. That didn't really come across in the film. It didn't show the seedy side of Las Vegas. It was
it was just the glitzy. It
was just casinos, really incompetent police forces.
Yes.
Horrible hotel security. and
that was
completely negligent construction workers just putting pipes without checking what's in them.
Yep. People, rats.
That's the summary we can take. Incompetent police and negligent construction
Not
workers.
much has changed.
That's pretty much it. That is really all the history I have of this film. I didn't think of anything else that influenced because there was a book that brought it together.
There's nothing that I had that sort of has anything to do with this film. Just like history in general, I don't know. There was stuff like, I know the protests were still going on. That still has nothing to do with Vegas. And there was like Walt Disney Florida opened that year. There's nothing that I can connect to this kind of film.
Did the story of this film run in the same order as the books?
It's kind of different. He's not fighting Blofeld. He's just fighting the mob in Vegas.
That makes sense because that's when they start to get their kind of foothold.
And well, actually, there's one nuclear treaty that was signed in 1970, not disarmament, but like not stockpiling, slowing down the production of nuclear weapons. That was signed by all the major powers, and then completely ignored. That might influence the sort of Blofeld's plot, which is about. I think he's trying to sell this weapon to whoever pays him the most, so they can get nuclear supremacy.
I thought he was trying to destroy everything because he says what he wants is total disarmament from the nations. And watching this, I'm like, that's not a bad idea. That's not. Is he all bad? Also, he's on his own. I don't think Spectre's really mentioned in this. It's really I don't
think it is.
It's really just Blofeld, and everyone has a weird lightning bolt Harry Potter logo on their helmets now. Everyone seems to have mutton chops as well. Guy at the 70s. Start, and then yeah, the Spectre isn't really mentioned, and I was conscious of that when you explained about the whole legal thing. Can't use Spectre.
Well, this is the last time that Spectre gets mentioned because I think,
are they even mentioned at all?
No,
I don't remember the phrase. So. I remember.
I know. Well, the
after
word Blofeld
kills Blofeld in that bizarre opening.
Yeah,
I hate every second of that. I just don't understand what it's so. He reaches into a pocket and there's like a mousetrap or something there. Like,
that's it.
The whole opening just didn't really make a lot of sense to me. I didn't really understand why this actor was brought back who played a previous character was now playing Blofeld again.
There's so many actors in the world. Just get someone new.
Someone else. I thought there was maybe he was Blofeld before and that was no.
There's
they
no
just
connection.
brought him. That's just stupid to me. I don't understand why that's unless there was a contract. I don't know.
Silly casting.
But yeah, I don't know. I didn't like the opening at all.
Didn't like the opening.
But to be honest, there's actually a lot of this film I don't like.
Yeah, this will be a short episode.
Maybe shut up. I'll focus on the
opening. What I liked about the opening is because it's very much Sean Connery focused on the boy is back, and every single trope's in it. Like, he gets the girl,
joking a woman,
fights somebody. He's also in a suit at one point. He does all the tropes in like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
and he says James Bond. All that stuff happens.
Yeah,
and then he goes and kills Blofeld in like a rather meh,
and then that's it
kind of way.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't want to say rushed because.
That it does feel rushed. That the opening.
Is it? Would that probably the best description?
It was quite rushed. Everything goes.
So there's a film around the mob. That's why it's in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
but there's no mob. There doesn't appear to be any gangsters at all.
Well, I guess you could say the slumber boys could be.
Who?
This the funeral home parlour, the crematorium boys. They're kind of like the mob.
That actor that drives the hearse, has he not been in other James Bond films? Because the guy that drives the hearse, is he not the guy in Goldfinger that gets crushed in the car?
Oh, right, I know what
and I'm
mean.
sure he's in Thunderball as well, the same actor.
It could be.
I'm like,
I never looked at that.
I don't know.
They do look the same.
At this moment, why don't we go into question one? If you have nothing else to talk about for the history of that, why don't we test the listener's
brains? What's your knowledge? Okay, so question one. Question one, everybody. How much was Peter Frank's fee for the diamond smuggling?
You didn't mention that, actually, that James Bond takes on the persona of another smuggler.
I only had 2 minutes. So Peter Franks is part of the smuggling chain, and James Bond intercepts him and kills him to take his place to see where the chain leads.
Yes. One thing I did like about the film, so I'm going to sprinkle the things that I did like about them, was the lift fight. I did like the lift fight. That is good, because you can see it is Sean Connery, and whoever this other actor is. And as much as it maybe goes on for a wee bit longer than it should, it is good because the glass falls out.
Yep.
Very easily, but the glass falls out and it's all over the place, and they're grabbing bits of glass, and I actually liked that. I thought that was very good. I thought Sean would probably hated that, and there's probably a story somewhere that he got hurt and he wanted more money or something.
He wanted money to continue.
Yeah, but I actually really did like that scene. I liked the first meeting with Tiffany, because another thing I liked about this, we're on a roll now of the things that I do like about this, is the music. I think the song in the film is timeless. Which again,
one of the
we'll
best.
touch on more, but the music I think is really good. The theme of Diamonds Are Forever plays throughout. So we have...
Anytime you see diamonds,
yeah,
it's always there.
When James Bond walks into the room for the second time and sees Tiffany there in the bedroom, there's like a theme that plays, and it kind of works really well. There's a theme in the coffin but as well when he's coming out, and it's all dead intense and such.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that.
The
first meeting with Tiffany when he's got the fake
fingerprints
on as well.
That's a good gadget we'll get to.
Quite cool. I don't know how they got those fingerprints, but
no, that's true.
I know Peter Franks was held at the airport, but did they have time to take fingerprints and then send them to him? A bit near that I really don't like is the bit where the real Peter Franks is walking up the stairs, and the way that Sean Connery disguises himself as he just
pretends.
That's like,
that's right. He's pretending to kiss someone.
Come on.
Classic.
It's like a cartoon.
That is a cartoon.
Yeah, I wrote that bit down because I was like, no, I don't.
Good fight though. That's one of those classic Bond fights. Bond fights in a train. That fight in the lift.
Yeah,
that's another classic. Like
the fire extinguisher was his downfall.
The fire extinguisher.
Scoosh him with the fire extinguisher and then push him off the stairs, which appears to be one flight of stairs, and then he's dead. Plus,
don't fall.
It comes on to, I don't know what your other questions are, but the way that he, rather than have a form of ID like a passport or a driving license, of course, James Bond has a Playboy membership card.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's found.
Now, I think that maybe Playboy has a little bit more to do with this.
Is this branding?
I think it could be a branding thing. I had it written down as one of the brands that are shown.
I suppose, that's like the height.
The height of
maybe the 90s are probably the height of Playboy, but that was the rise when Hugh Hefner was sent back from hell. Gathered up some souls. I thought it was a bit of a novelty. And say, you just killed James Bond.
Yeah, and he's like nonchalantly, is that who that is? But,
okay.
But that was the other thing. We touched on this in a previous episode. He's supposed to be an undercover spy, but everybody knows him. Even this random girl who smuggles diamonds knows James Bond's a massive super spy.
I've also just realised, to the world he is dead.
From like 2 films ago.
Yes. Commander is dead. His picture is in the paper. He is dead. Everyone knows he's dead. The only people who know he's not dead is Spectre and MI6. Nothing changed, but I know the fact he had a wedding. I know the gangster world know he's alive because George married into one of their families. But even at that, she must assume he's dead. As you said, everyone knows who he is.
Uh-huh.
But he's like, oh no, you killed him. Oh, but he was dead. I seen it in the papers a few years ago.
That's all just brushed over. Well, maybe because she is.
We're brushing over quite a lot. We're brushing over that. We're brushing over. We'll get onto continuity because there's a big continuity faux pas, which I think you know of. But we'll get onto the bits like that. But yeah, I liked the lift fight. I liked the music that came through for it. Did that give any sort of lines? No, it didn't actually.
What,
that was just fight? The lift fight just came through, and then he went to the. That's ultimately where he goes to America to follow the diamonds. We meet another Felix Leiter.
Yeah, another actor.
Again, we'll just pretend that this is the same actor. This is the same person from before.
Well, if you didn't say Felix, then nobody.
No. I was like, oh, that must be a guy who works at the airport.
Yeah, exactly. Bag, sir.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of kind of confusing bits throughout the film, but as I said, I liked the score. I liked the song itself, which came through for that point. We move on from the scene in Amsterdam to America, where he's then put into a coffin after being knocked out by Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd.
I like this scene.
Another thing I like about the whole film is Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd.
Yes, those are some good characters.
Menacing. They need their own film. The same way that Red Grant needs his own film, Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd, they're so menacing because they're unhinged, first of all.
Yeah.
They talk to each other in a weird way. Then I thought the coldest bit is when they killed the teacher. They killed the teacher lady. And then they were taking pictures at the bridge, and they says, oh no, the children were wanting some pictures back from the canals. Oh, how nice of you, Miss Wynn. I was like, fuck them, man. Like, no, that's disturbing.
Just getting dragged out of the canal.
They were very disturbing and very effective. I'm not quite sure who hired them. Because they were
You're supposed to presume it's Blofeld, I guess.
Yeah, so even to try to kill him at the end, even after Blofeld's dead and stuff. I don't know. But yeah,
is he dead?
I think they were probably one of the most memorable characters throughout this film.
They are, because they're parodied in so many different things.
Yes. Don't say The Simpsons.
They're not parodied in The Simpsons, but do you remember the kids show Codename Kid Next Door?
Yes.
They're in that as villains. There's a parody of them.
I don't think they should be in kids' TV shows.
But they have like the same
even parodies.
I think they're like next door neighbours to the treehouse that they do their spy stuff out of.
No, I don't think that's a good idea at all. Yeah, I think as well that brings to the Bond lines, and this was
littered with them. I would say this film was littered with them, but like what you're thinking, Mr. Wint, Mr. Kidd have most of the lines. Their killer lines are better than Bond's killer lines.
Yeah, well, I only have 3 lines from Bond, and I have one from Mr. White, or not Mr. White, Willard White. Is that coffin scene when he gets up and he goes, "Don't tell me you're St. Peter." I thought it was genuinely really funny. I was just like, that's quite good. And then he gets out. Then suddenly the next scene he's in a bath, and he's like, "Okay, that's me. I'm in a hotel now."
Yeah, on the phone.
Away to come back. So it's all about he has the diamonds somewhere. They're trying to get the diamonds back. I thought the scene in the casino was just... A lot of the scenes were just throwaway. Which one? All of them. When he goes, he plays craps, which has zero skill to it whatsoever, and he pretends like he knows everything. He wins all this money, and I was like, oh my god, who's this?
Yeah, it was that one that Plenty appears.
Yes, when Plenty appears...
O'Toole.
Yeah, when Plenty appears, it's like, what is the point of you being here? She shows up, then she gets thrown out a window.
Yep.
You're just like, I didn't know there was a pool there. Okay,
that's
the gangster thing.
Yeah,
that's a throwaway character, not relevant at all.
After that?
Actually, that's the other line is when they go up to the room and the gangster there and he leaves away and he says, "I'm afraid you've got me with more than my hands up."
Yeah, no, that is
again. I was like,
yeah,
that was funny.
Adult jokes.
Yeah, that was genuinely quite funny.
Missed that the first few times.
You know, now I think about it, maybe this is Sean's funniest film.
Exactly, that's what we're trying to say.
I'm not going back in my opinion, but
I like the bit where he's in the car going to the funeral home, and he's like, "Oh, it was the stiff, your brother." And he's like, yeah, he was my brother. And the guy in the back goes, I have a brother. And Sean Connery just goes, small world. That's funny.
It's delivered in a way that it's maybe not scripted. It's just a guy who's just said something to try and get his
reaction,
his opinion in.
That one, and when Mr. Kidd put him in the coffin and he's going away, he says something like, oh, it's very moving, isn't it, Mr. Wint? Then Mr. Kidd goes, oh, it's very heartwarming, as he's going into the fire. Yeah. Like, that's funny. They do have some good lines in this film.
That's what makes them sinister.
Yep.
Like actual psychos. No feeling whatsoever, just happy to do it. Why they killed him, the guy with a scorpion, I'm not entirely sure, but
they just poured it down his
and that was pretty much that.
They do have some good kills though, like the whole helicopter at the start exploding. If man was meant to fly.
Oh yeah,
they do some lot of killing.
You're kind of putting me on to like the bits that I don't like, which is a big thing in this film. I do not like any of the visual effects. The helicopter was one of them. I
know what you mean.
That was
you
naff.
Can see it.
Yeah, the scene where don't even start me on the end scene where this satellite is blowing things up, and it's just things are going red, and then there's just like a stock explosion going pew, and I'm like, what is this? What you had all this? I don't know what the budget for this film is, but you've had all this money accrued over years. If you can't do it, then don't do it.
Don't explode things.
Yeah,
on that, a response to that would be, I read that they had a reduced special effects budget because they had to pay so much to bring Sean Connery back that they had less money to do everything else.
They couldn't just find someone else. There's only George Lazenby who they didn't like, and there was Sean Connery who was getting older, and there was no other actors in the world. Choices. That's mad.
Do you want to know who was considered? Because
Pierce Brosnan.
He wasn't actually the first choice. The producers wanted to find somebody else, so they went for Adam West.
No!
The Batman. They went for Adam West, but Adam West said that it should only be a British person that plays James Bond.
I was going to ask, would he have put on a British, but then the British accent would have just been Adam West.
Adam West, yeah.
Hello, Mr. Toilet. How do you know my language?
From Family Guy.
But did he do Batman at that point?
Batman was the 60s, wasn't it?
So he'd done Batman.
Yes, it was after.
So he was going to do Batman, and then he was going to go and play James Bond. Another person that they suggested was Michael Gambon, who plays Dumbledore. But I don't know what he looks like young. Does he just always is a big old man with a massive beard? Yeah, it's kind of like Ian McKellen. Like, I don't know. Like, to my knowledge, Ian McKellen didn't exist. And then he just was born and he was 60-year-old. He was like Gandalf and Magneto and such. Yeah. Michael Gambon, the earliest I've seen Michael Gambon is when he was on Top Gear on his lap.
Yeah.
And then it was Layer Cake with Daniel Craig.
That's right.
And then he was Dumbledore. I don't know anything else.
No, me neither.
It could have been. I think back in the 60s and 70s, if you were an actor, you clearly had to look quite good. I can't think of any actor who was like, maybe they're not going to get any work. Everyone had to just be like a model level.
Basically. That's how George got it.
Yeah, and it's like, well, okay, you're good enough, you're good looking. It doesn't matter if you can't act. It doesn't even matter if you can't speak English.
Yeah,
that was the 60s and 70s. We'll get someone to do that.
Or dub you.
So yeah, he probably was a good looking guy, and then age happened, as it happens to us all.
Well, I know
Adam West would have been.
That would be
horrific.
Weird. That would be no. I think the series would have ended.
That would be the end of it. We wouldn't be here right now talking about that. So we had the coffin scene. He goes to America. After this, he finds that I think he is suspicious at the start that Willard White has never been seen in
that's
months or years.
Well, Willard White is based on Howard Hughes, who did the same thing.
Yeah.
So Howard Hughes, we'll go into Howard Hughes now whilst we have time.
What's your facts?
Howard Hughes was born in 1909, I think. Oh, I pulled that right out. That was a good fact.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jeff, for sharing that.
1909, and he was a director, film director, went into producing films, and on the side he was he was into flying. So he was setting speed records for flying across America and stuff. So he was like a young, adventurous kind of guy. And then he got into making aeroplanes and had businesses and became like a really massive millionaire.
All right.
And through that, he had different other businesses, like healthcare businesses, and he left all the film world aside, had this casino, and became like a really massive millionaire, but recluse, like a real recluse.
Because he had OCD, I think they said. That was the suspicion.
Like, wouldn't speak to anybody, and only like a few people knew where he was and what he did. And he lived to like 70 something. But for his last like 30 odd years, he was a reclusive millionaire, exactly like Willard White and exactly like Mr. Burns. And
exactly like
casino.
Bruce Wayne at the end of Dark Knight Rises.
So in that Simpsons episode called Mr. Burns' Casino, where he has the casino, and he has all the big beards and stuff, that was based on Willard White.
But then he wasn't a recluse, he was kidnapped. And
he was kidnapped as well.
Yeah, because I think
that's what brought it on.
Yeah, the just when we were on Willard White, I liked the character. He was just a bit loud for me. He was just angry at everyone, and he reminded me of someone in an older film, but I can't quite remember. But there was a line from his that I liked when he did get out, and then Saxby shoots at him, and then Saxby's falling down the hill, clearly dead, and he goes, Saxby goes, "Bert Saxby, tell him he's fired." I quite like that. I thought it was funny. My dad remembers that as well. Like, that's quite an iconic line.
He's played by Jimmy Dean, who was like a famous country and western singer at the time.
All right.
But he also was famous because he had his own sausage brand called Jimmy Dean's Sausages. But he would perform.
Is it still going?
I don't know. He would perform in Howard Hughes's casinos, like the real Howard Hughes. So he was like, he didn't really want to take on the role because he was basically parodying his real life boss.
That's quite weird. Sausages.
So yeah, I don't even know if he was an actor.
No, it was actually quite good. It was just maybe a wee bit. He was angry at the smallest things, and I think that was where it.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it, but I don't think it was good. Kind of moving on from there, that kind of opens up the story where we realise that the Diamonds are now involved in a satellite program, a space research facility thing.
Yeah.
Which is a point I do like is the moon buggy chase that came from there.
Moon buggy chase, I've got that as a moment.
The bit I don't like is how there's the astronauts who are on the moon, and then Sean, they go, "Oh, grab that guy," yet they still go.
And they pretend.
But it's like, you're not on the moon. You're not here. Run, grab him. So that was quite good. I actually think I really liked about that scene, not about the films or anything like that, but something I found just generally quite funny is they gave this third character that Sean Connery had to play the most bugger of a name for Sean Connery to say.
Yeah.
We're going, Klaus Hergesheimer. And he actually goes, "Who are you? Klaus Hergesheimer." G-section.
G-section.
And it's like, that was written just to piss him off.
That was written for that.
Yeah, I thought that bit was quite funny. But there's a lot of kind of wee kind of throwbacks here. I also noticed as well when they're following the car from the airport. Is it airport? Maybe it is airport too. Yeah, because the Diamonds are dropped at a baggage claim or in a locker, and they're going out to the space facility. There's another white Volkswagen Beetle parked next to them, which I thought, oh, that's kind of like Not a Manchester Secret Service, where this is thrown in there again for some other reason. Yeah, the moon buggy chase I thought was quite good. I thought it made sense. He's on a road and then he goes off road, and these things can't handle it off the road. And
but even the little like bike things that look like they're designed.
I don't know why they were designed
desert,
for that. Yeah,
but they seem to just like crash. It's so obviously that they crash like for the film.
They just weren't very good as well. And some say that moon buggy's still driving. still going.
One of the bits that you can tell that maybe they've left their cue too late is when the guy's trying to get back on his bike and he's getting ready before James Bond hits him. He's like sits there for a good 3 seconds before.
But James Bond kicks him in the ribs, he falls off and then just lies there. Like, whoa, it was some kick. But yeah, I did like that. From that point, it leads on to what I think is the most iconic moment of this entire film. And it is an iconic Bond moment.
Okay.
But there is a problem with it.
Oh, no.
You don't know this problem. So we get to the car chase. This is the car chase in it's a Mustang, isn't it?
In the Mustang.
Yeah. Get the car chase Mustang. Very incompetent Las Vegas police.
Yeah.
Crash into everything. Get
Down
away.
that car park. That's it
Gets
goes
that.
on and on.
Goes on a long time. And then they get to the alley.
Yeah.
And he has to go down the alley. And he goes up. And this is a Bond moment, one of the most iconic, because that one scene turns into it. What happens next, Jack?
Well, they go up on the two wheels and then they go through this tight alley, isn't it? And then they come out the wrong way.
Yeah. Whose fault? But they try to fix it. They try to fix it in post.
By going,
they just go, we'll turn it that way. And it's like, well, that makes even less sense. Like, why are they doing that?
It reminds me of like the bobsleigh thing.
Yeah, when it's moving around. Something about that scene, the actual whole scene itself, the green screen was actually really good. And I don't know if they did actually have Sean Connery in a car and they just had another car pulling it and film. The scenes where it's Sean Connery and Tiffany, that's green screen and it just looks like 70s green screen.
Yep.
The scenes where it's just Sean Connery and it's just the side door and then a bit of the back window, that looks real. That actually looks really good. And you don't get lost in it a lot.
So I know that this shot where they're going in on the two wheels was shot like in California somewhere, and then the shot where they're out on the other side is on an actual street in Vegas. So it was filmed in two separate locations, different months, which is why that's off. The continuity is off.
For sure, they have
and then the interior shots are filmed at.
They have a script supervisor that does.
Someone that's like, it came out this side.
And then they've went on the cut thing and they've went, okay, let's do that. But the thing is,
they could have flipped the film, could they not?
No, it would still look off. Because then it would look like they were coming from a different way. I think as well, because the way the camera works, this wasn't something in post, because Tiffany's here and Tiffany's leaning up that way.
Yep.
And then when the camera switches, Sean actually goes
the other way.
And turns that way. So they must have had direct, unless they went back and said, we fucked up. We're going to get the two most expensive actors in the film to come back and do this, or we could just do the stunt again.
Yeah.
And they've went, no, let's just get the two actors in and put it through. So a good scene, but
that is an iconic moment. That and the moon buggy fight. The moon buggy gives you one of the most iconic Bond stills, the photographs. You've seen the photograph where he's playing golf in the moon. That was like on his downtime. That's probably one of those legacy photos for James Bond, Sean Connery. Iconic photo. And maybe well, men were on the moon at this point, so that scene was definitely put in as a nod to the conspiracies.
Yeah, just say it's all fake. These astronauts have to move that way.
Yeah, why could they just move?
I'm not going back down the conspiracy route, Jack. I'm not doing it again.
No, because it just all roads lead to air.
All roads lead back to the Masons. When I was leaving tonight, I was like, right, I'm away with my Masonic meeting. I don't know what you talk about. So, what do you talk about?
I can't tell you.
Okay, well, if you're not going to tell us, what you're talking about, then why don't you give those folks question 2?
Okay, question 2. Okay, everybody, question 2. In the circus scene, how many times must you win the balloon game before you win a teddy bear? Now, the little boy exclaims the number and says that it's unfair and cheating because Tiffany wins it first time.
The little annoying boy.
So how many times should she have won it to get that teddy bear?
Yeah, again, something that was a nothing moment. Why was that line even put in there? Why was the casino bit even put? I just thought that was all a bit. That
circus bit. See, the scene. There's a scene that makes me feel weird as a kid.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
The person turns into the gorilla.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like this. I'm scared.
It was nothing. It was there to be a distraction. Actually, now I think about it,
it reminds me of like something from American Horror Story. Yeah, that circus series.
I could be wrong here, but now that I think back to that, I seem to remember like wee random lines. They say, and I could be wrong, but they say this person is from Nairobi, South Africa. Nairobi's not in South Africa. Nairobi's in Kenya. For some reason it's in my head. Maybe it's just scarred me, that one scene, but the guy says it. I don't know, maybe they didn't research it. I'm going to check that when I get home and just see if that was it. It's stuck in my head for some reason.
Yeah, you should go back on that. Another thing, that bit really, and the fact there's like 30, 40 agents out there, and like from the CIA, FBI, whatever.
Yeah.
She still gets away. It's like, nah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But what was quite funny, which keeps this film lighthearted, is when they're like, oh, I've got 30 agents down there watching them, and immediately like the sort of acrobats go across the screen and all of their heads turn to watch them. And I was like,
that's immediately distracted. Yeah, they slip out a lot. Something that I thought was quite odd about this film is James Bond is like incredibly overdressed at all times. He goes into like this casino, which I can only describe as just like a sleazy 70s casino, and he goes in like a full white tux. Yeah, it's like, all right, there he is, undercover, the spy. And also the moment where they're under house arrest because they accuse Willard White of being someone. They're under house arrest, and then Sean Connery's like, I'm just going to go up, and he gets in a tux for grappling, which we'll probably go into next in terms of the gadgets. But he knows he's just going to break into an apartment and then come out, yet he's still going to wear a tux.
Because he's James Bond. That's when the sort of the tropes thing comes into it more.
Yeah.
That is one of my favourite scenes. I'm glad you brought that up, because I feel like that is a good Bond moment. When he's like, oh, I'm just going outside, and he goes and he's like sitting in his tux and he's just fixing the flower, and then he suddenly goes up, he's on the top of the lift, and he's like on the outside of a massive hotel, and then that's a very cool, because he's cool and nonchalant.
It's iconic because he's so relaxed with it.
And then the grappling, that scene I'll always remember, when he grapples and he just hangs off the hotel.
Yeah, I don't remember that from when I was young watching it. When I watched it again, I went, is he going to jump off then? I was like, oh. And
I still get that feeling every time I see it. I think that's one of the best scenes ever.
Because it is good. It's a bit weird when he comes in.
Take his new weight.
There's like another double of Blofeld, and he's sitting chatting to him. He shoots one with the
grappling gun.
He shoots one of them with that, and then the other one has a gun. And I thought, all right, just away you, we back in the lift. Bye.
Instead of shooting him,
kicks the cat as well, but uncool.
Yeah,
but
do that.
Oh, you can't shoot him. He's only got one grapple thing.
No,
you mean Blofeld?
Blofeld could shoot Bond at
that
that moment.
There's actually a few points. There's a few points he could have just shot him and that's it done with. But decides not to. He's too compassionate.
They like each other too much.
But I think the end of it is, for me, where it starts to
fall apart.
Not fall apart. There's just a lot of points. I'm like, near the end of it, I was like, I just want this film to end now. I didn't really care what the motive was anymore, because at this point you're starting to see like where a missile turns red and then blows up, and then a submarine turns red and blows up, and then missiles in China blow up, and I'm like, what is going on here?
So you're taken out of the film by the special effects, you mean?
That and I didn't really understand what the plot was. I didn't understand how the diamonds work with it. It's like, oh, we need all these diamonds, and then we've got our laser specialist who will bring it through.
Light refraction. Isn't it, to make it intense or something?
If only we had a laser specialist, and we do. Cameron, who watches episodes, worked with lasers. Cameron, is it possible to use many, many, many thousands of carats of lasers and of thousands of carats of diamonds create a laser which can fire from space and blow up? Now that I say it, it's not possible.
It doesn't sound possible.
I don't need a laser specialist.
But at the same time, it's just full on recycled, and diamonds are die another day, isn't it?
Yeah, diamonds are another day. Same filament. Oh, Pierce. It's space lasers.
And space lasers happens a few times in this series. Going to space. You're right. I kind of had enough of everything happening in space by now. I
think as well for the audience, that's what it works, is because the majority of the audience at this point is going to be in the US. It needs to be in the US. Used to be Las Vegas. Las Vegas sponsored quite a lot of it. All the hotels that pitched in to help with this film to come through. Ford Mustang.
Ford,
American.
Rolex.
Rolex. You have Hertz, rent a car, in terms of branding.
Yep.
So it's all in America. You have space. The audience knows about space. You have the superpowers. So you get America, Russia, and now China being threatened by this random person.
Now, I thought that the whole idea was he was saying, I'll sell you this weapon and whoever like pays the most gets basically to control the world, rather than him.
Maybe they did. Well, he was threatening.
Because he was going to blow up Washington, but that was only because they didn't respond. Is that right? Why was he?
You didn't call me. He didn't do anything with the UK because after threatened your little island yet. Yeah, I didn't really understand the thing. I didn't care by the end of it, really. I was just like, okay, that's fine. And it was the cassette thing. Oh, it's just this cassette controls it all. And I'm like, you're an idiot. That's one cassette. Oh, that's it. We need it for everything. Make more. Make more of them.
It surely is a better way than a little cassette.
Yeah, or it can come out. Then put a cover on and put a padlock on it, you fucking idiot.
Like this. And he just presses the button and it falls out.
And that's it. Oh no, and then she switches it out and he does it and he's like, you stupid twit. And I'm like, you're all idiots. This doesn't make any sense.
This film's idiotic.
Yeah, and then he's trying to get away at the end and he's get my hydro foil plane, what was it, something? Pod.
Oh yeah.
And it's just a crane and it doesn't work and okay, I'm not going to kill him, I'm just going to smash
him into the oil rig.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's talk about something positive. The gadgets.
So the oil rig was a real oil rig that they hired to film all that on. It wasn't a prop or in any studios. It cost them $40,000 a day. And
a day? I suppose if it's a working oil rig, you need to.
It was what did I read it as? It's a semi-portable oil rig, so it can get moved. So they actually moved it to California to then shoot on it.
All right, to the place. I'm not going to say the place because I don't know if that's a question.
No.
Baja.
Yes, Baja,
California.
Well, speaking of questions, let's go on to the third and final question.
Okay.
So, the third question, I'm going to say this one because it's the one you got wrong, Derek, when I asked you. So, at the very start of the film, when they're talking about the diamond smuggling, and he has a meeting with M and Sir Donald, they have a drink, and James Bond shows his expertise by saying the year of the sherry. Can you tell us the year of the sherry?
But it's not that sherry, it's the original.
Yes, it's what it was. What's the word?
I don't know what he's talking about there. I'm just going, okay. I understand that he knows something about sherry. It's more than me. It could be wrong, but
it's like the cast year or something, because sherry doesn't have a vintage, he says.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not into drinks that crazy.
But yeah, the gadgets, I did like the gadgets with this. They did all have a use.
What gadgets did you have?
The false fingerprints.
Yeah.
That's one thing. So I thought that was quite good. That was very I think that's
a full wardrobe in our house to scan people's fingerprints.
Yeah, it's kind of ripped off now from quite a lot of things, the false fingerprints. The grapnel was quite good because it's quite practical. Before I go into the third one, the electromagnet that Q has was quite interesting because it was quite good to see Q just out and about.
Yeah, not stuck to
Q could be like, I can win millions here and there's nothing you can do about it. I can easily do this, but didn't really care. The thing that was a kind of gadget, but both sides had, was the voice modifier.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I get that it's to change the voice to make it sound like someone else.
But that couldn't be done through a single cassette in the 70s.
No. It couldn't be done. Q moves things to make it sound a bit off.
By just soldering.
And I get that we need the audience to understand what's been said and how they sound.
Yeah.
But why would that change their actual voice? He mentions that the other Blofelds, they have chips implanted.
A resistor version.
Yeah, they have chips implanted to make them sound like him. But this thing that he puts on this tape recorder wouldn't make him sound like that person talking through. I know it's like movie making and they have to show it like with the audience and such, but yeah, I thought the gadgets were quite good. I've been through my Bond points with that. There's, I suppose the last bit really is, I would like to go back to Mr. Wood and Mr. Kidd.
Okay.
Because their death scene was just, the whole death scene just made me quite uncomfortable. It was a bit weird, but I did like the way that he found out. But it was just the aftershave when they put him in there.
Because he gets the answer wrong about the claret.
Yeah, he says that is a claret. And then he goes, that's a potent aftershave. I've smelled it before. Both times I smelt a rat.
Which is a nod to the rat.
Which is not like anyone's going to get that. Like, what do you mean a rat? And he was like, oh, there was a rat in the pipe. Okay, how are we to know that? Okay, is that clever? But then Mr. Is it Mr. Wint or Mr. Kidd? Who's the one with the long hair?
Must be Mr. Kidd.
Sets the kebabs on fire. I don't know what he's planning on doing.
Slowly walking. And Tiffany's just like, ugh. She doesn't do anything. She just stands slightly there. Repulsed.
Yeah, she sets him on fire, and then he pulls the tails of his coat
through
round in his arms, and then he makes a very unpleasant noise.
Yeah. And
then attaches a bomb and then throws that off, and then the bomb goes off coincidentally at that time.
Maybe, yeah.
And no one in the boat questions us at all.
Big explosion, man, of 2 people overboard.
That's normal. That's a normal Tuesday night on cruise ships.
Yeah, no, it was a bit like, yeah, it could have been a lot faster, I guess, and maybe cooler.
I thought it was an iconic death. It was an iconic death for an iconic pair of characters.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite good about it. They were the only consistent thing about this film, in my opinion.
The guy that played Mr. Kidd's not an actor. He is a jazz bassist that they found.
I need you to remind me, who's Mr. Kidd?
The guy with the long hair and the mustache.
Okay.
Strange looking one. He's a jazz bass player.
Okay.
That they found.
Why was he brought in?
I don't know.
Because he had long hair and he looked weird.
Because he looked different.
Okay. Yeah. I thought they were honestly the most impactful people in this entire film. And as much as you said that the film is good and it has its moments and stuff,
I think we've shown through what we're saying that it is light-hearted and funny. Got a lot of nice lines, just jovial, kind of light-hearted, which is why I like it.
Is that a good ending for Sean?
I know, no, probably not. His last scene that he ever shot was the coffin scene, so it's like a nice nod to his death, his character, his time is over.
I seen something today, and I was trying to look up like the history of diamonds and such, and obviously why diamonds are relevant and such like that. And someone said, diamonds are forever. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Diamonds are formed under heat and pressure under the ground. James Bond was put in a coffin in a crematorium, and then he was buried alive in a pipe. So James Bond is the diamond here. It's like, shut up. Shut up. No mistake. They can't even be asked for another Blofeld. They're not thinking that deep in terms of like the symbolism of the film. Yeah. They can't even get the continuity of the car stunt right. No, they're not thinking that deep. American companies and casinos gave them money to shoot it in Las Vegas. Yep. End of story. That's pretty much it.
I don't think it was the best way out for him.
No.
He does kill his nemesis, I guess.
In the first 5 minutes. Oh, I suppose pretends the first 5 minutes, and then something else comes out.
Well, another thing that they kind of gloss over is the whole Tracy, and I think his wife has literally been brutally murdered.
That's something I thought of as well. It was quite insensitive of Moneypenny to like, oh, you're going to Amsterdam? Bring me back a diamond and a ring. It's like, he's a fucking widow. He's like, you were at the wedding like
he
last
was brutally murdered yesterday.
1 month ago, you were there. You were at the wedding. You seen it? You were crying. I had different hair. I had a different chin as well.
My face was different.
Yeah, I think of the films, I could tell that this was probably the best end for Sean. Not in terms of the best ending for a story and such, but it's like, this is time. That hair and makeup is going so far. Yeah, this is the end here.
He had to he wears different kinds of suits because of his weight gain. He's not like the same kind of tailor, and it's like loose cut stuff. I know everything changed because it was a 1.25 million fee that he got for this film, which was unheard of. It was actually in the Guinness Book of Records for years. It sounds like a lot, like greedy man, but he actually ended up donating that whole fee and creating a film school in Scotland for underprivileged kids with that fee. So
it's not too bad.
Goes out in a high.
Well done, Sean. That is a good end for that.
That is a good end.
I'd say a good end for this episode, but we're not done.
We're not done
as of yet. What we're going to do now is do a ranking. So last week, I think you did the first ranking, and then I was to adjust it. Is that right?
Yeah.
Or did you?
You did it, and then I said it was fine.
And you adjusted it. Okay.
Did I adjust it? Well, what's going to happen is you're going to adjust it right after I do
Right,
it.
so do you want to... You'll do the rank first of all.
I'll rank it.
And whilst Jack is doing this ranking, I would like to ask you to rank this episode and give it a nice 5 stars if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And remember to give it a follow and a share to your friends and your family. If you're watching this on YouTube, then why not give it a wee thumbs up? And why not subscribe to us as well? There's lots of things you can do to support this podcast. Jack, I can ramble on for so long.
This is hard.
I know exactly where it goes.
Right, okay. I'm going to show it to the camera.
No, that's not it finalised.
That's what I think it is. Okay, and this is what Derek's going to change it to. Right. Don't put it any lower. I actually genuinely would have put it one more higher.
One more higher?
Yeah. But I thought you might have abused it.
This is where I put Diamonds Are Forever.
It's not the worst film. It's not the worst.
If I was to look at these list of films, and let's see those bottom 3, for example. So we've got You Only Live Twice, Doctor No, and Diamonds Are Forever. And someone said, which one do you want to watch out of these 3? Out of that, I'd probably say I would watch Doctor No.
Right.
And then if you said, okay, between You Only Live Twice and Diamonds Are Forever, which one would you rather watch? I would rather watch You Only Live Twice.
Well, I would say I would rather watch Diamonds Are Forever more than both of them. But I think it's harsh on You Only Live Twice. I think that's a better film than we've ranked it now.
Are you saying you're moving everything else?
I would move lots.
I think, honestly, of the films that are here, I think Diamonds Are Forever is...
I would say it's better than Thunderball.
No, I think Diamonds Are Forever is less entertaining.
But we've laughed all the way through it.
I've laughed at you. I've laughed at some lines, but lines don't make a good film. I think Diamonds Are Forever was... I don't want to say lazy, but I think it was just like, just do it. I would say quirky, but it wasn't. I think it was intentionally quirky.
It's not even like a cash grab. It was just... I just think it was a fun film that's looked down too harshly by people like you and everybody else in this world who want serious death.
Okay, well, the ranking can change at any time.
Well, the public will disagree.
It can change at any time. We'll see. Okay, let's put this to the camera. Do you want to read out that order, Jack? Because I can't see it anymore.
On the top, we have Goldfinger, From Russia with Love, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, Doctor No, and in last place, Diamonds Are Forever.
Where it belongs.
What an ending to a career for a great man. His last film at the very bottom.
It might change. That's where I think of right now. I might sleep on it and think of a different way of it.
Let's see if you wake up.
A different way of it goes. So we've got the rank there, but we're not quite finished yet. There's nothing else to talk about in terms of the episode, but this is the end of the Sean Connery era, as we've said at the start. Yeah. This is a special episode, and the next episode that we're bringing out will actually be an even further special, which we're planning on filming in the next couple of weeks, so you'll have to be patient in terms of the episodes. But what we are hoping to do is celebrate the drinks of the first 7 films. Yeah. So we're going to make the cocktails which are in the films and in the official 007 cocktail book, and we're going to film us making them, and then we're going to drink them. And then we're going to see what happens after that.
Have some opinions on it and see how we react.
And we're each going to... Is it 4 cocktails each?
Yeah,
4 cocktails, a lot, because then we'll be having 8 cocktails in the space of like an hour. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes at the end. And there might even be some challenges.
The episode might not happen. We might forget to turn it on.
Might forget to just stop recording. Yeah. If you have any ideas for challenges we could do for that, then please let us know. But that'll be the next episode, since we have ended the Sean Connery and let's call it the George Lazenby era.
Yeah, we're out of the 60s.
And we will soon... we started the 70s, and now we're moving on to Big Man Roger Moore, Jack's favourite James Bond.
The best James Bond.
Jack has been sarcastic.
Did you know that he was actually asked to do this film?
Did he?
Diamonds Are Forever, but he couldn't because he was doing another film.
That's for the next episode. We hear all about Roger and his escapades. Yes. Okay, well, thank you again for listening and tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been quite informative. Almost, kind of. And we will return with a special.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll return with Roger Moore soon.
James Bond will return.
With Live and Let Die.
If you haven't seen any of the previous episodes, to go and watch them.
I forgot about that.
There's 6 previous episodes, and you might get some of the stuff that we're talking about if you watch them.
That's true. Bonus clip!
Bonus!
From Jack. On you go. What's your bonus clip?
So, it's not a funny clip, but it's a nice, like, a gossipy thing and story. So, the character of Tiffany Case and Plenty O'Toole, so the 2 women actresses actually ended up having relations with Sean Connery during this film, which is not, like, unexpected. Obviously, I think he was single.
Okay.
So they both had like relationships with them at the time. And they also have some weird chemistry because at the time, the 2 actresses were sister-in-laws with each other.
Right.
So I've got it written down here. So Jill St. John was Tiffany Case and Lana Wood was Plenty O'Toole. Right. So in 1982, Lana's sister, who's a famous person called Natalie Wood, drowned, right?
Natalie Wood is Christopher Walken.
Is it? I don't know.
Keep talking, I'm going to look that up.
Okay, so Natalie Wood drowned, which is Lana's sister. Okay, and then months later...
Don't have any connection.
Months later, Jill St. John started going out with her husband, like the dead sister's husband, and they ended up getting married.
Right.
Okay. And so the 2 of them had a sort of frosty relationship because our co-star's now going out with our sister's husband, like her dead sister's husband. So there was a sort of, they kind of didn't like each other. So when they had like Bond girl reunions, they refused to talk to each other and refused to get pictures with each other because they didn't like how this all went down. And at one point in 2016, Lana, who's Natalie's sister, the one who drowned, Lana crashed a big do in honour of Jill St. John, like full on crashed it to say, what have you done, blah blah, accusing her of all these things in front of cameras and stuff.
All right.
And then it turns out that she then said publicly that she believes that the ex-husband of her sister planned and actually murdered her sister, right? And it's like trying to not get at Jill St. John, but Jill St. John's new husband. She's like, blame you killed my sister, you drowned her, all that kind of stuff. And Jill St. John's trying to defend her new husband. And so there's a big kind of conspiracy. And
all right.
So it's a real thing. They don't like each other.
They don't like each other.
You can
hate each other.
You can say that. So that's how it's, and it's still like an open case actually in America that her death was unexplained. And she thinks it's the husband, and Jill St. John's like, you're crazy, leave my husband alone.
All right. Okay, now we're finished. Bye-bye.
Bye.